A new study finds that negotiating with a woman gets you the same deal as negotiating with a man, but leaves you trusting her more, liking her more, and wanting to come back, even when you have no idea she's a woman. Researchers regenerated bone, joints, and ligaments in mice, suggesting humans may have always had the ability to regrow body parts. Something just gets in the way. And the old phones sitting in drawers around the world are holding an estimated $67 billion in recoverable minerals that almost nobody is recovering. This is News Side Quest, the show for people who want to know what else happened this week, besides whatever everyone is currently furious about. I'm Keith Conrad. Let's close out the week together, shall we? A new study published this week in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, authored by Cornell's Charlotte Townsend along with UC Berkeley professors Laura Cray and Solon Delacour, ran 5 separate experiments with more than 2,400 participants and found something that challenges decades of assumptions about gender and negotiation. The economic outcomes were identical. Men and women extracted the same value from deals. Full stop, no gap. But on what researchers call subjective value, trust, fairness, satisfaction, desire to work together again, women scored consistently higher. The first study analyzed real classroom negotiation feedback and found women rated higher on building trust, fairness, listening, and communication. The second study is the one that really makes the case. Participants negotiated anonymously through text chat, randomly paired with no way to know their partner's gender, and separately confirmed that readers couldn't guess gender from the transcripts either. Even completely hidden behind anonymous text, women partners were still liked more and trusted more. So what's actually driving it if it's not stereotype and not outcome? The researchers dug into the transcripts and found the most robust behavioral signal was that women showed a greater tendency to accept offers. That's it, not better tactics, not more charm. A small, measurable behavioral difference in how readily an offer gets accepted, which shapes the entire emotional tone of the interaction that follows. The projected long-term effect is the part that surprised me most. Researchers ran a simulation suggesting that because people prefer to come back and negotiate again with women, women could end up with roughly 44.6% more negotiation opportunities over time than men, which in illustrative scenarios translated to a projected earnings advantage of nearly $55,000. And critically, women in the study scored higher on both warmth and competence simultaneously, directly defying the old assumption that those two traits trade off against each other in how people are perceived. I just assume not deal with men were the worst. Of course, the real finding isn't men are bad negotiators. It's that a specific learnable behavior, being more willing to accept a reasonable offer rather than grinding for marginal gains, builds long-term relationship value that pure economic outcome doesn't capture, and that behavior happens to correlate with gender in this data set without being intrinsically gendered at all. Have you ever noticed yourself trusting or responding differently to the exact same message depending on who delivered it? And did you catch yourself doing it in the moment or only looking back?
Men, we don't know what we did.
Salamanders can regrow entire limbs. Humans, when injured, default to scar tissue instead. For centuries, that's been treated as a fixed biological limitation, something Aristotle reportedly wondered about and that Dr. Ken Muneoka at Texas A&M's College of Veterinary Medicine has spent his career trying to understand. His team's new research, published in Nature Communications, suggests the limitation might not be permanent at all. It might just be a fork in the road that the body is already standing at every single time it heals. Here's the biology. When mammals get injured, a type of cell called a fibroblast rushes in to close the wound quickly, prioritizing survival by sealing things up fast. And that process becomes scar tissue. In salamanders, those same kinds of cells take a different path entirely, organizing into a structure called a blastema, which becomes the foundation for regrowing the actual missing structure. Muneoka's key insight. It's as if these cells can move in two different directions. They could either make a scar or make a blastema. The fibroblasts at the injury site aren't incapable of regeneration. They're just consistently choosing scar formation instead. So his team tested whether they could redirect that choice after the fact. They let a wound close normally first, the way the body always does, and only then applied a growth factor called FGF2, which triggered the formation of a blastema-like structure that doesn't normally occur in mammals at all. Several days later, a second growth factor, BMP2, was applied. The result in mouse digit models: regenerated bone, joint structures, and ligaments. Not perfect replicas of the original tissue, but genuine regrowth where there should have only been a scar. I want to be careful about the actual state of this research. This is mouse digits, not human limbs, and no clinical trials in humans have been announced. The path from this finding to anything usable in a hospital involves serious scaling and regulatory work. But there's one genuinely exciting near-term detail. BMP2 is already FDA approved for other uses, which means improved wound healing and scar reduction, even short of full regeneration, could realistically reach people well before full limb regrowth ever does. This story basically amounts to we could totally regenerate body parts if it weren't for the thing that stops us from doing it. The thing stopping us turns out to be a choice the body is already making at a cellular level every single time, which means it's a choice that might eventually be steerable if regenerative medicine eventually let you heal any injury without a trace, completely scar-free. Is there a scar you have right now that you'd actually want to keep because of what it represents?
Son of a... That's gonna leave a mark.
Researchers and recyclers have started using a specific phrase for something most of us are sitting on right now without thinking about it: hibernating devices. Danielle Hawley of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation estimates that roughly $67 billion in value is currently locked inside unused phones, laptops, and other electronics that people and institutions are simply holding on to without using. Sitting in drawers, closets, old offices, and storage rooms around the world. A CNET survey found that 22% of U.S. adults just throw old technology away outright, and only 39% actually recycle it, meaning a majority of old devices are either trashed or quietly hoarded. The specific materials inside your old phone are genuinely valuable and genuinely scarce. According to the United Nations, the world generated 62 million tons of e-waste in 2022 alone, up 82% from 2010, and about half of that was metal, with an embedded value of $91 billion globally, including $19 billion in copper and $15 billion in gold. Apple's own environmental team notes that the gold and copper recoverable from 1 ton of iPhone components is equivalent to what you'd get from mining 2,000 tons of raw rock. Recycling existing devices is, quite literally, thousands of times more efficient than digging new minerals out of the ground. And yet, per the UN, e-waste recycling currently meets only about 1% of global demand for rare earth elements, the materials essential for smartphones, electric vehicle motors, wind turbines, and a long list of other modern technology. The U.S. Department of Energy has actually announced close to $1 billion in funding specifically aimed at building better domestic infrastructure to recover and refine these materials from old electronics rather than relying entirely on overseas mining. One persistent bottleneck recyclers describe as what they call the last mile problem. A business or household might have a drawer full of dead devices, but the nearest facility capable of actually extracting the valuable materials could be hundreds of miles away, so the stuff just sits there indefinitely or ends up in a landfill instead. I've never been one to hold on to old phones myself, but I'll admit I probably still have the box my old phone came in just in case. I wanted to be honest that just in case is doing a lot of unexamined work in that sentence, and the research suggests millions of people are running the exact same logic on the actual device, not just the box. What's in your own drawer of old tech that you know you should actually deal with? And why haven't you?
Okay, it's $500, you have no choice of carrier, the battery can't hold a charge, and the reception isn't very— Shut up and take my money!
A man driving a giant street-legal car shaped like a banana was pulled over in Montana. Not for the banana itself, which is fully road legal, but because part of his license plate was obscured. I can see why owning a car like that would be appealing. An influencer who frequently showed off wealth and luxury items on social media was, unsurprisingly, burglarized. This is the inherent risk of living your life publicly online. People learn your patterns, your possessions, and exactly when you're not home. The internet remembers everything you post, so apparently do burglars.
Thank you for playing. Should we or should we not follow the advice of the galactically stupid?
Police in Ohio have officially retired their RoboCop patrol unit after it heroically made 0 arrests and issued 0 tickets across nearly 10 months of active duty. It was likely too busy searching for Sarah Connor to get around to any actual policing. Its retirement is, statistically, the most successful and least controversial law enforcement deployment in recent memory.
Excuse me. I have to go. Somewhere there is a crime happening.
A man at a California campsite fell into a vault toilet while trying to rescue his sunglasses, which had fallen in first. I'm not sure I could imagine a worse scenario. I'm not sure I want to try. The sunglasses' fate, like much of this story, is best left undescribed.
That is one big pile of shit.
That's News Side Quest. 3 questions to close the week. Whether you've ever caught yourself trusting the exact same message differently depending on who said it. Whether there's a scar you'd actually want to keep even if you could heal it without a trace. And what's sitting in your own drawer of old tech that you know you should deal with. Email me at newssidequest@gmail.com or stop by the Substack comments. Have a great weekend. See you Monday.